Hi, I'm Obsessing Again. Yes, this game is brilliant. It's joyfully light-hearted, designed with the intention of being a team, a unit, Helldivers. But beyond the explosions, calamities and airstrikes is a quietly sophisticated backdrop of imperialism and propaganda. A Helldiver is a soldier who is merely cannon fodder, fighting the enemies of robots, zombie-like ghouls and weird creatures. But the fight isn't necessarily these enemies, it's fighting for democracy. In the game's view, you're fighting for Super Earth, fighting the invasion of creatures wreaking havoc. Set in the 22nd century, the game's opening cutscene shows an auspicious man greeting his family, a nod to the 1950s western "honey, I'm home" kind of thing, before seeing them quickly killed. It's comically depicted but sets the tone and a basic incentive as for what it means to be a Helldiver.
Sweet liberty! No! Look familiar? Scenes like these are happening all over the galaxy right now. You could be next.
Though you are cannon fodder and in Super Earth size, easily disposable, you're far from a typical soldier. Besides the dramatic capes or cyborg looking helmets, the plethora of weapons at your disposal makes you an unruly soldier. It leans into futurism but still feels grounded. Even in its whimsical sci-fi setting, it makes for compelling gameplay when you can deploy a turret or call down an orbital strike, wiping out hordes of enemies. Propaganda is something we see in the micro and macro, and we have done it for centuries, just in different forms. For the Second World War, posters that read "Keep calm and carry on" or "We want you" were forms of propaganda. For Helldivers 2, your participation mission fuels the propaganda. Your mission objectives and collecting samples all align with the propaganda. The tutorial in itself is beyond a satirical view of altruistic views that people would view Westerners as having. The tutorial, like any shooter, issues how to throw grenades and fire weapons, but it's the booming general on the comms that adds to the propaganda.
I'm General Fresh, Super Earth's oldest and most grizzled war hero, and I'm not easy to impress.
Giving the Helldivers a constant reminder to fight for democracy, conquer and liberate are all fueling motivations. As a Helldiver, it's the equivalent of being a paratrooper. The risk of death is high, but it's peak adrenaline. The notion of being invaded makes any group defensive, fighting for your rights, fighting for your protection. If the Helldivers felt that their fight was dwindling, it's the perfect rhetoric to repeat over. You are conditioning them to fight. When you're looking at missions to carry out, you're asked of your patriotism for fighting the good fight, fighting the cause of Super Earth, even if it's blind patriotism. Your brutal killings and destruction are seen as noble acts, again echoing real-world militaristic propaganda. Having Imperialism act out in gameplay makes for great social commentary. The lack of options in approaching missions and that every outcome is all-out destruction reinstate that Imperial mindset. There's no mission that requires espionage. There's no diplomacy of two opposing views. The ethical implications of these missions never factor in. Unlike Imperialism in the real world, with no questions asked, makes for good soldiers, makes for good Helldivers. Imperialism works when it's about one country in social and political power, but as a Helldiver, Imperialism works as you're fighting on behalf of Super Earth. In war or liberation, in the moment you will not know how history will view you. Societies evolve and change, as do opinions and interests. Helldivers is about liberating the galaxy, liberty being eradicating all life forms that aren't human. Though it's unclear opposing views in the galaxy beyond Super Earth. All this eradication of a life that isn't human may lean into the Helldivers being more morally grey than the game would like to tell you. Because of the frequent deaths and short life expectancy, it's understandable that there's a lack of emphasis on having a dedicated squadron. You can carry out missions solo or have a change of heart and call in reinforcements. Community is found in finding comfort in other Helldivers. A community of objectives, blowing a plant up, finding a rare sample, or restoring a radio tower is where you find community. The mission and objectives are so ingrained in communication, and being a team player makes those final minutes of mission agonising. Being a Helldiver, you are the embodiment of bravery. The stoicism of standing upright, saluting to a barrage of explosions is laughable but makes moments of warfare a dark comedy.
While y'all doing that, I'm gonna jump on the plane. Pelican 1 preparing to depart. Shuttle launch in 20 seconds. Extraction complete.
Immersion can be found in a collection of online players taking it upon themselves to act as a Helldiver. Repeating all the propaganda, whilst this is a small element, means you collectively buy deep into the story and makes you embody a Helldiver for an hour of harmless fun. Toxicity in gaming communities is often spoken about as how individuals can ruin sessions for others or how discussions online can sour quickly. Very few games allow for friendly fire unless it's a tucked away game mode, but Helldivers embraces it with both arms. It's liberating and adds so much frenetic excitement to missions, even if it leads to accidental suicide bombing.
The man called the walker right out the gate.
I'm gonna go and put that dick in him in the beginning. My fault.
100 meters.
In a video about imperialism, propaganda and warmongering, it would be a missed opportunity to not talk about the gameplay. The guns all feel vastly different from one another, whilst not many Helldivers I've encountered use shotguns or their pistol for backup. It's the other arsenal that's more prominent. The airstrikes, lasers and cannons are the deployable assets people are longing to use. What we've experienced in many shooters is close combat rooms with maybe some debris from buildings. Why I love Helldivers 2 is how an innocently placed map can be turned on its side when confronting waves of enemies. Throwing down your deployables, calling in reinforcements, getting into your pod makes me gleeful. It makes the gameplay fun with multiple options, meaning no Helldiver is alike, which brings me on to customization. I think the rewards you can earn, the helmets and design of your gear is varied and also harmonised so the Helldivers look like, well, a Helldiver. My only gripe is a lack of colour variation when choosing your helmet or body design.
How do you like the taste of freedom?
Enemies are varied depending on what part of the galaxy you're on. Ammo at times can be scarce and you can't be perched in a corner mowing down enemies like an old zombie mode in Call of Duty. There's no specific strategy to taking groups down other than more firepower or less, but the traversal through map, objective to objective, never makes the panoramic environment stale. Extraction is the greatest way of ending missions, in pure chaos.
Pelican 1 preparing to depart. Shuttle launch in 20 seconds.
Run!
Ready to liberate.
Come on, buddy! Do it!
1 beginning ascent.
Helldivers 2 is a comical pursuit of warfare spanning across the galaxy, providing the player with exceptional weaponry. The sense of unity and team make this multiplayer flourish on a level that is unlike most AAA shooters. What is presented as mindless fun and explosions is a backdrop of satire, parody and imperialism. If we're all of the shared mindset that art is politics and art is gaming, is Helldivers 2 trying to make overtly political statements? Not directly. For some gamers, they will passively enjoy this, but Helldivers is trying to provide meaning to its world. I believe the background is just as compelling as the foreground. Its method of speaking its messages or belief is through satire, chaos, and in absurd deaths, making it a borderline dark comedy. It's irreverent, and somehow this and tremendous mechanics make for the ideal gameplay loop. In the past year, many people have bought into being a Helldiver, seeing that their mission transcends the game, with a tinge of self-aware irony, all for the pursuit of liberty and democracy. Thank you for letting me obsess again.